Are we on? Good. Welcome to the Better Than Not podcast. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't. But when we at least do something, we know it's almost always better than not. Hi there, and welcome to Better Than Not, the podcast that aims to capture shifting perspectives and thought-provoking ideas in conversation, which is based loosely on my series, A Changing Frame of Reference, which you can read on the Substack app, and I hope you will, as it might give you some insight into what this podcast is all about. I'm your host, Doug Gardam, and today I welcome back a friend, maybe one of my longest-term friends, an actor, a stand-up comedian, and I'll even say writer. Scott Stewart, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's great to be here. How's everybody doing? That's my smoking guy voice. I'm working on it. It's a new character, smoking guy voice.
So when did you take up smoking?
Well, when I was a baby, Doug, I laid into it when I was a baby. Well, actually, my mom smoked. I was just trapped in the car.
Oh wow, that's a whole new deal. So
Yeah.
how is the world in Los Angeles? I see that you're doing stand up almost every night.
Yes.
You did some work for a film that I think might be doing the rounds.
Yes. All
doing
true.
all those kinds of things. You're riding around without drivers in your cars, all that kind of neat stuff.
It's all going on here, Doug. We're in the middle of a heat wave. It's horrible. We have to put AC on here. I always like people in their environment that complaining about how beautiful the weather is. It's like 4 degrees over what it normally is. It's horrible here, Doug. Horrible, I'm telling you.
You know what I thought was funny this year? Because it's like our memories are so short anymore. But like last summer around this time, the earth was burning up, right?
Yes.
I don't know whether you remember that, right? Like it's like...
Doug, I've got a short-term memory, just like you pointed out. I don't remember what's your name again?
It's the Better Than Not podcast.
Oh, right.
And sometimes things just better than not. But and this year, this has been kind of a wonderful summer here, and
yeah.
but a little short, like as far as like you can feel the fall, the leaves kind of turning and stuff like that. But
yeah,
no
back
sign of the world being incinerated.
No. Speaking of better than not, so my wife, I put like your little logo in my back. I don't know which side it's on, one of these, and I made a picture. Cool. She comes in, it's called Better Than Hot? And I'm like, no, not, N-O-T. And then like literally 5 minutes later, why is it called Better Than Hot? I'm like, it's a good name. He likes calling it Better Than Hot.
Well, that is the first time I've heard that mistake made.
Yeah.
But...
well,
interesting.
She loves Fahrenheit, so she's always thinking in terms of hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you really having a heat wave in Los Angeles?
Yeah, it's up there. We're supposed to get up to like triple digits this weekend. Where are we here? Yeah, this weekend. But also too, it varies because where I am, I'm like 6 miles from the ocean, Culver City, California. Where's the? No. Woo-woo. And we're moderated by the ocean. That's really exciting information for your listeners.
Yes.
But the point that I'm making is up in the valley, it gets trapped air and it gets really hot. So it can be like up to 10, 15 degrees hotter than us here.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
Well, it was funny. We went back to Ontario a month ago. And I was blown away by two things. The first thing is I forgot about how humid it gets.
Yes.
And it was noticeably super hot. Like we forgot completely that. Like you kind of feel like you're just carrying more than your body weight along with several other people.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like we were downtown and we went up the Allen on a Saturday morning, Allen Expressway, right? Comes up to the 401. And for those of you listening that aren't familiar with Toronto, the main thoroughfare across the northern part of the city is the 401. And a lot of that length is now 12 lanes.
Yes.
And when we got up there, 9 of those 12 lanes on a Saturday morning, Scott,
Yes.
were jammed.
Sounds like LA, Doug.
Well, do you know, this is the two things that came from that. I said, first of all, I heard recently that Toronto's congestion has taken over from Los Angeles.
Ooh, I could believe it.
And secondly was they did bring 1 million people into Canada last year.
What do you mean?
Well, apparently we brought 1 million people. The population in Canada went up 1 million people. From all
I
the
see what you're
immigration.
saying. Yeah.
And so that was like, because we're starting to find, so we're probably an hour, maybe about an hour off the ocean, the Pacific, right out here in Abbotsford, and we have one main thoroughfare. So it's our 401 here is called the TC1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 2 lanes each way. So magnitude-wise, it's quite
so it gets pretty crazy there.
But with all the population growth, that's jammed a lot now. And there's really not another route into the city. Unless you want to take like real back roads and rural. Anyway, that's kind of the world and at our end. And so it's you know what's interesting is that I say people talk about the weather when they have nothing else to talk about. What a start.
Perfect. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Well, I'm trying to bring back COVID here in Los Angeles because when we had COVID, the traffic was at 0. It was amazing. How great can you get around Los Angeles when there's no traffic? It's really amazing. Like you go in places, you're going, hey, that looked like took 15 minutes as opposed to like an hour and a quarter kind of thing. But and then you had this thing during COVID. I don't know if you had it there with the traffic, but it was like, wow, I wonder if it's going to stay like this.
Yes.
But
there's people convinced that this was the new norm. And I said,
exactly.
Like, how many years did it take us to get where we were? It's going to go right back for sure.
Yeah, snap right back.
Oh, but everybody's going to work from home. Yeah, sure they are. And they'll work from home, but they won't actually be working at a job. That's going to be the difference.
Yeah. Or they're going to go out and drive on the freeway a lot or highway.
Or they'll do a podcast.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you say that and the results of so many of those things, because like that's one of the things I want to know about what's going on in your stand-up world. But before we go there, this traffic congestion is not going to get solved to me until these cars that are becoming very popular in your area. Yeah, I'll mention a couple of companies. 3, actually. That's true.
Ooh,
that's a
3?
few. I think you've got Waymo there, you've got Cruise there, and you've got Tesla there, right?
Yes, Tesla. I'm not sure about Cruise.
Are they still going?
I think they're in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. They're not.
The last thing I heard about them was that they had some sort of an accident, like one of their cars dragged somebody by whatever stuff happens. And they put things on hold for a bit. They're probably back up and running, but that was the last thing I heard. But Waymo is happening here. We see them driving around all the time. And I was seeing one of the observations that I had to Carol yesterday. We saw one. It's really weird to see a Waymo car with no driver but a passenger. But it's super weird to see a Waymo car with no driver and no passenger. And it just drives through there. So very odd. Very odd.
That's one of the things that's. Yeah, you don't even think about that, right? Like that is weird, Scott.
Yeah.
So I hope you have a bid on that, because not very many people, I would think, even think about that. Like,
it's coming. Like the thing that I'm going to be excited about is when the robots start driving that. Like your own personal robots driving you around.
Well, will it be necessary?
Yeah, I know it could be redundant.
We've been going through this car thing quite a bit, right? Because we've got Uber up here now, and it is so cheap.
The Uber is?
Oh my goodness, Scott! So, we're not commuting to Vancouver, but like in and around town, when you got to pop over someplace or whatever, like it's between $6 and $10.
Wow!
Like to wherever you want to go, virtually. I'm gonna say that's like 4 to 10 kilometers, but I mean. It's kind of too far to walk.
Yeah.
And the bus, you've got to set your schedule around in order to do it.
Yeah.
And the Uber, I mean, it's just like you stand at the end of the driveway here, and you have your choice that will be there in a minute.
Yeah. Hey, have you guys got teleportation yet? We just got that in last month. That stuff's crazy.
Is that why you have wings?
Yes.
Every time I think of teleportation, because for years I would say, okay, that will be the thing the military is working on. And then I think of The Fly, the movie with Jeff Goldblum.
Brundlefly.
I think we have a long way before the teleportation world's going to get here. But we'll see. So have you had a ride in one of these robo-taxi cars?
The thing that's interesting is the Waymo is actually, for us here, it's more expensive than an Uber. And we can't quite figure that out. They've probably dumped a lot of money to get it up and running. But I would think that they try and undercut it because you're not paying a big component of the of any of those like Lyft or Uber is they have to pay the driver or the driver gets paid.
Yeah.
But when you don't have a driver, I mean, there's still people working in central stations and stuff, but they're probably all children, so they shouldn't have to pay them like a full adult wage, I would think. But anyway, yeah, so they're a little bit more, and we were going to take one the other day, and we're like, why are they so? And it's not particularly cheap. It could be because of the traffic too.
You don't think it's a bit of the novelty still?
I don't think so because you've got Uber and Lyft, and there might be the initial, hey, let's go get some ice cream or something in the car. But and you know, YouTubers are doing it. You see them on there. Hey, we're going to take a Waymo around. But I don't think that's enough to populate the company. People just want to get in and get from point A to point B. And the thing that's great about them is, you know, just like Uber, you can just sit and read or go over your files or audition or whatever you need to do. Yeah.
So do you do a lot of Ubering?
No, I don't. Okay. I'm not a drinker, so I don't really have a reason to do it. The drinking thing is huge.
Is it?
Like Friday and Saturday nights down here, people, you know, are taking those all the time. And I had this actress friend that was in one of my short films, and she just kind of gave up her car, didn't have a car, and just would Uber around. But she was more like up in Hollywood area, so I think the trips were shorter. But I think if you kind of combine it with your insurance and parking and gas and stuff like that, it probably comes out pretty close if you're just zipping around. But on longer trips, you can always rent a car. But yeah.
Well, like our son's experimenting with that in Toronto right now.
Yeah.
Like he says, I like, he doesn't have to commute in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But he does have to go to like the depot places where they call like their unit home as a paramedic.
Right.
And he's like, when you count, to your point, you count your insurance, count the capital cost of a car.
Yeah.
Which we don't include.
Yeah.
The maintenance and then your gas.
Yeah.
He says like, it's remarkable. Like, because I start throwing around, I'm kind of going like, where does it make sense outside of your commuting for a car, other than the sense of the world we grew up in, right? It gave you a way to get away from like the house. Yeah, it's like your mobile home that you can go and scream at without being interfered or anything. But I don't know. I just see so much of that shifting. That's why you were the first that we talked to about
Doug,
the driverless cars, Waymo, because you knew a lot already. And I had just heard about it. I had actually written a little bit about it because I kind of see it as almost becoming a user monthly fee, like a subscription.
Yeah.
And you'll just like, I don't think Uber's done that yet, but it's one of those things that I think will, because I mean, it's taken over so many different platforms. Yeah. And when you're kind of aware of it, but I don't know, who knows? Do you think is it October 6th that the robo-taxis are going to be announced?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that.
Because he was going to do it in August. And and then he pushed it out again. So I'm curious.
Are you saying Elon Musk?
Tesla, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because
sorry, I didn't hear that.
Because I have a friend up here that's got the Tesla with the option.
Right.
And so they Auto. It updates in his car at night. I've been out for a ride in it. It's quite amazing. It's a little disruptive.
Yeah.
Like you're sitting there, you watch the steering wheel revolve. Here in BC, we've actually banned fully fully driverless
Autonomous
cars.
Yeah, yeah.
They have to be supervised.
Yeah.
But I was going to say the Uber was originally banned here too.
Oh, okay.
But that's all gone. But to me, like, I think the long-term plan for Uber is driverless. Like, I think they're full. Like, I think that would be eventually their overall strategy. But I just
100%.
can't believe.
I mean, that's the main cost of their program.
I cannot believe the convenience. Like we said before, I'm the sorry, coffee lovers. I love coffee too, but I'm the one button coffee maker guy. Like, I just put the water, the coffee, press the button.
Push
once
button.
it's ready, once you got it set up for the right amounts.
Yeah.
I just keep that process going.
Rinse, repeat. Yeah.
And to me, like, the Uber has done that because it's taken the full anxiety of a taxi away, right? Because it used to be, is it coming? Is it going to get here? Is it going to be on time? Am I going to be late for my dentist?
Yeah, yeah.
You can literally, like I said, literally sit at the end of your driveway and watch the car come to your house.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if that's not like Jetson, near teleportation level.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you haven't ridden a driver's list yet.
No, we were going to take one last week, and we just checked out the price, and it was like $28. We're like, whoa. And then it would be $28 to get home, or we could hitchhike, and we all know how safe that is.
But I never thought of Uber and drinking. That's a bad on me.
Also, the other big component, I was talking to my wife the other day, that we're not going to recognize as guys, but there's a sort of a creepy factor of when and because I get it from women doing stand up and listening to them talk about their stories where guys are asking them weird questions, even the drivers, and but with the driverless cars, you don't have that creepy driver effect. So I would think that women would prefer that a lot over even I mean, for myself, I would know I'd probably want to pay a little bit more just for being in there and feeling safe, especially
late at night.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Again, something that you would think of, and I've not clued into that type of thing, but I think I've been so like I kind of feel like, Doug, you're catching up, but you're really slow on catching up, and that's the Uber part. Because I just like, to me, I've told so many people about it.
Yeah,
I'd love it for like my mom and dad, but you got to have a phone.
Your parents don't have a phone,
like a cell phone, like a smartphone.
They're still using string in a cup. Rogers, come up for dinner.
They do have a landline and phones, but it's like you have to be kind of versatile and to know how to do that. We all are, because we've been using them for so long. But if you're not set up that way, it's but to me it's a great thing, like for seniors even, right? Because it just like it comes as such an easy thing when it works. It's such an easy thing to kind of procure.
As opposed to when it drives you off a bridge by mistake.
Well, see, that would be great. That would go viral immediately, right? Like that would just jump. Look, hey, never do that again.
Yeah, put that in the code. Don't go off bridge. Bad, Waymo. Bad.
Are you surprised at how quick this is happening? Or did you anticipate that?
No. It's I sort of I think I get to see the progress of it happening quick.
Oh, for sure. You're
Carol's
right there.
family's up in San Francisco, so we go up there. There's so many startups, there's so many companies going on, and then being in Los Angeles. So we're always in initial trial markets. So we see all this stuff before it gets rolled out. And I always like, when I first came here, there's a lot of aerospace going on. There's a lot of jet propulsion labs, that kind of thing. There's, they build satellites like around the corner, things like that. So there's a lot of really smart guys here.
Yeah.
And even when I first would come here, I would see like guys with like custom built bikes that would have like a bubble on the front of it. And there's some guy that's like, he's an engineer during the week and he's built this thing on the weekend and he's taking it out for a spin. So I'd see a lot of like really stuff where you're going, wow, that's crazy. And so I see that the progression of it happening. I want it to happen way quicker.
The driverless?
Just everything. I can hardly wait till robots start running around. Like all that. I just think how crazy that's going to be. The main thing that I see like robots for it'll be interesting. There'll always be those sides where you never saw that coming.
Yes.
What I think what's going to happen a lot is going to be protection. I think robots are going to be for protection. And then there's going to be a lot of like YouTube, TikTok videos of two robots get into a brawl, and like two ladies are out shopping and they're robots instead of like they're two Karens, they're two Ken robots going to town and they're fighting. But I just think that the whole protection side of things is really going to come to the forefront with the sale of the robots.
So robots will be walking kids to school.
Yeah, everything. Dogs, walking the kids to school. You'll just have a robot for protection.
Interesting.
And then also too, that brings up the whole thing is, so how do you have two robots protecting their humans if they can't like go after the human? Like if a human goes to hurt another human and the robots have a loop in them that do not hurt humans. Hang on, I think I got a voice for that, Dick. 1 second.
Do not hurt the humans.
Yes. So you already have a robot.
What's that?
You already have a robot.
I have a robot, yeah.
He's running the camera.
Yeah, exactly. This is my robot right here. Push. Yeah, so I'm really excited just to see what's going to happen with all the robots.
So this reminds me when you say this, a Stephen Wright line of the future factory.
Yeah.
So with robots and everything, the future factory will be run by maybe a man or a woman and a dog.
Yeah.
And the dog's there to feed, the man's there to feed the dog. The dog's there to make sure the man doesn't touch anything.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, it's very Stephen Wright-ish. But I thought like, but what's interesting to me, that's why like I kind of often say you stand-up comedians as a group are kind of today's philosophers. Yeah. Because you look at the world like a little differently. And when I heard that I probably heard that 25 years ago, years and years ago. But I thought, it's going to be in line when all the robots, like a Tesla factory, are running all the assembly work, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you just said about robots being there to protect people.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember someone reading anything even really about that. I mean, if I go back to Asimov and his 3 rules of robots and what you just said, not to hurt a human, right?
But also too, there's an element of a lot of the early talk and writing was all written by guys. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking in terms of like once again with the autonomous cars, with women getting in them, they feel a lot safer than having like a creepy driver. It's like, hey, why are we going down this alley? But also, just walking around in their travels, even going out to a parking lot, late at night, you had to work late, whatever, you're walking out there and you're being escorted out by the company's robot.
Yeah, yeah.
But, and then also the idea too is that you think in terms of the robot being really expensive, but I think it'll just be like anything. It'll be like on a monthly payment plan. Like, how much do you pay for your robot per month?
I think
this one's pretty good. It's $449 a month.
I do think that part of our world is going to shift significantly.
Yeah.
Because like you said there, I think subscriptions will change because technology will allow you to do a lot of things that you won't have to. Like to me right now, the car, when you're looking at buying a car, like we for years known, as soon as you buy a car, it depreciates driving it off the lot, right? So now you look at all the different options you have for transportation that are like past a bus, because everybody, I'm not going to ride in a bus. And the biggest part of the bus is it's not convenient. Like you have to work to a bus's schedule. And we all as humans like to be kind of like independent. We like to run to our schedule. So of course you're going to have a car. You look at a car is like 10 times the weight of a person, Most of them are driven by one person. I was I just commented last night to Laura. I was saying, like, SUVs have taken over the world.
Yeah.
And like they're big, right?
Yeah. Once again, on the whole protection thing, I always wondered that too, because it seemed this proportional SUVs got larger and parking spaces got smaller.
Yeah.
So just to drive an SUV around I'm just going with Los Angeles, but just to drive it around here, like we have two cars. One of them is a Mini.
Yeah.
And even to get that in parking spots, the smallest car on the road, to get that in, it's really tight. But the SUVs are so big, it's difficult. So my whole thing is the protection side of things again.
Yes, yes.
Like
It's
feel
interesting
safer
that
in
you
that
say
car.
that, because it's like, to me, those are all things that are kind of fallen into. So now I'm looking at it. Like I commuted my whole life
Yeah.
to work,
Yeah.
like a minimum of 40 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how else are you going to do that by and large, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so you got to have a vehicle. But now the more enabled people are to work in from home, I'm now like saying, like, find work near where you live.
Yeah.
Like, you just think of what that, like, I had a job far away, but I had to buy a car.
Was this when you worked in Narnia? I remember that. That was a far commute for you.
I wish I'd written Narnia.
Yeah.
So in the world of stand up, what's
Yes.
going on these days, man? Like it's
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I had a great weekend last weekend. It was really fun. I had, there's this one club I do down here called the Comedy Boulevard. And I know the owners are really cool. So I ended up doing a Thursday, a Friday, and a Saturday night show there. And it was really interesting. I learned some really interesting, because as you go through comedy, there's different levels that you go through and different scenarios that happen and things like that. One of the things that I learned, it was really interesting. We had this, the Thursday night show was great. Then the Friday night show, the audience was, they weren't connected. They weren't sort of connected to the performers. And it had a little bit of that on Thursday night. And I started thinking about that. Like, how do you change the dynamic in the room?
Right.
Because basically what happens is there's when you're experiencing something, so one level is you're not aware of it. The next level is you're aware of it, but you can't do anything about it. The third level, which I think is the best, is you're aware of it and you're able to adjust and fix it. So,
so say those three again, because this is what I'm talking about, philosophy. This is really interesting because it's life.
Yeah.
So the first one is,
so the first level is you don't know what's going on.
right.
So something's going on, but you're not aware of it. The second level is an awareness of it.
Yes.
But you can't do anything about
Right,
it. It's
right.
like, okay, this crowd, I'm just putting in, you can put it in multiple terms. I'm
Yes.
just putting it in the stand-up format.
That's cool.
So the first level is you just go up, you do your bit, and they're not responding. Nothing's going on.
You're just glad to get your show over with.
Yeah, exactly.
I made
You're like looking for the light, and you're like, do I have to another 4 minutes? What's going on? Yeah. So you don't know what's going on. So
Yep.
you're just like, okay, get me out of here. The second level is you get up on stage, you're doing your jokes, and there's an element of, I've done these jokes 100 times. They do really well. There's something going on here. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on. The third level
And you can't do anything about it.
and you can't do anything about it. That's the key thing, because you don't know how to fix it. So then the next level is that there's something going on. You're aware of it, but you can make a change and make it change. You can change the dynamic of the room. So that's what I went through. And the thing is that's great about stand-up is it's a panic-based situation, because you get the lineup to go up, so you know where you are in the lineup. And usually, it starts out, the MC gets up there, does really well. Then the first comic gets up, does really well. And then the second you do a big one of these, okay, this is going to be a fun show. But when they get up there and they start doing their material that you know works and nothing happens, you're like, sweat, panic. Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to go up there. What if I just ran out now? What if I had someone call me and said that my dad had a heart attack? You know, all these different scenarios go through your head. But you're sitting there the whole time and everyone's just kind of sitting there and you're trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? So what I learned from this weekend was there's a disconnect from the audience. So you have somebody up on stage and then the audience. And normally there's a connectedness there. And it wasn't there. And I've been thinking a lot about this recently because the difference between like good comics and great comics is that they can change the room. They can change the dynamic. They can recognize what's going on. They can make an adjustment. The adjustment happens. The audience doesn't have to know any of this is going on, but you just make this happen and it transforms into something else. It changes the, I like to say it changes the room or changes the temperature of the room or the energy. And I always think in terms of energy, but changes the energy of the room. So I go up, so I think it was on Friday night. So we start the show, going on the MC, and all the comics were, and not because of the comics, there was just a dynamic going on in the audience where it was kind of a flat audience. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to go up. What am I going to do? And then I thought, what it needs is it needs a connection. So what I did was when it was my turn to go up, there was a guy in the audience and I went up and this is a funny thing. Like when you go see stand-up comics, basically it's the same on every stage. They get a microphone stand. They get a stool. That's all you get. It's really naked. And I always thought it would be really funny in, when you see a Netflix special where the guy comes out and they've got that empty stool, but it was a sold out show. And he calls someone up from the audience and puts them on the stool. So they're sitting there on the stool while he's telling jokes. I just thought that was a funny visual. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there kind of panicking, going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then all of a sudden I had this thought of, oh yeah, it would be really cool to bring someone up from the audience and sit them on the stool. So anyway, I find this guy in the audience and I go over to shake his hand, and you shake someone's hand, you just kind of squeeze for a minute and then they'd start letting go. So I squeezed his hand and held onto it tight and started to pull him up to the stage and I said, hey, welcome. Come on up the stage. Give him a nice round of applause. So he came up on stage and sat on the stool.
Good guy.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was a good guy. And also, so he's sitting on the stool and then I just started telling the jokes, but focusing a lot on him, like connecting with him. And the thing is, what happened, it changed the dynamic in the room, and it was one of the best shows I've ever had.
No way.
Yeah, it was so fun because what my thinking is, what happens is you have the audience and then you have the comic, and there's the disconnect, as I said. When you bring one of their own up on stage, you're basically bringing them up on stage. So they feel like they have to participate in it more, or it breaks the wall between us and them.
And is he going to get somebody else?
Yeah, exactly. And it just so changed the dynamic of it. And it was fun. And I didn't really have to do much. It just was a subtle shift that I saw in my head where I have to connect with the audience. That's what's going on. And the same thing happened again on Saturday night. There was this one guy in sitting with his arms crossed, and it wasn't like he was mad, but it was like one of these.
Yes, yeah.
And when you're a comic, you're just constantly scanning. Okay, everyone's laughing. Okay, oh, this guy's not laughing. What's going on? And you go into, why is this guy? So a lot of the comics ahead of me, like, what's going on with you? Why aren't you laughing? What's going on? Are you okay there? And
which makes them matter.
yeah, exactly. And then it puts everyone on defense.
Yep.
And so the way I did it was I learned from what I did on Saturday night with the disconnect, and I go, okay, I got to connect the audience again. So this time I went out and I was like, okay, audience, I know what's going on here. Somebody needs a hug in this audience, and that somebody is you. So I pointed out the guy. It's a big swing, but at this point, you got to take a big swing.
Absolutely.
So I pointed at this guy, and I went over to him, and I got him to stand up, and I gave him a hug. And it was an awkward hug, but I still gave him a hug, and he did it. And the audience saw that, and they just erupted. It was like everyone applauded.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this more. So then I went around and hugged like three other people, and I got 2 wallets out of it, Doug. Because when you're hugging them, you just reach in their back pocket. Boom! I'm still using their credit cards today. Let me know, and I'll buy you something on Amazon. But it was this whole dynamic shift, and you can physically feel it in the room.
Yeah,
because people have paid money, they got in their cars, they drove there. It's just, and not everyone at that level is. Like an educated, educated is the wrong word, is a person that's participated in going to see comics before. It might be their first time or second time or whatever. Or the other thing you've got going against you is they don't know who you are.
Yes.
And there can be a little bit of a reluctance. I don't know what's going on with this guy and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that was my big fun lesson from the weekend.
The other thing that you have going for you is you're not
my good looks. Oh,
yeah,
you don't have to say it. Everyone can see, Doug. Come on.
You don't repel though. Like there's some people that just have this like, don't even get near me, buddy.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what's really cool about what you said though is you risked here, right?
Yeah. Oh man, it was sink or swim.
So I have
sorry, just to interrupt, but just quickly, I talked with some of the other comics afterwards, and they're like, when we saw you do that, we're like, what's this guy doing? Like, what's going to happen? And a lot of that element was what's going to happen, because when you're up on stage and telling jokes and stuff, you're trying to make it look like it's happening the first time, but I think people kind of know what's going on. But when they see you do that,
oh man,
I've never met the guy. He's never met me.
Yep.
They don't know what's going on. So it causes you to connect once again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and what's really cool about that is that's very genuine, because you don't have it all figured out. There's no, like, you've already picked this guy, talked to him backstage, said, I want you to do this.
Yeah.
Because to me, that is super hard to pull off as genuine. Because there's very few people that are that good at acting.
Yeah.
But no, it's really cool that you said that, because you reminded me of what my son-in-law said. He wrote this a while back, and he said, part of the struggle that we have today is that people don't like to risk anything.
Yeah, for sure.
But they want everything.
Mm-hmm.
They want the big gain, right? They want the big prize, but they're not willing to risk anything to get it. They just deserve it. Mm-hmm. And I thought, with what you just said, because it could have gone the other way.
Oh, so easily.
And you kind of going like, yeah, but you had it in your head already that you knew you couldn't just go up and do your normal thing, right? Like,
yeah.
So because of the first 3 things you told us, right?
Yeah.
Which I think that's such a, it's almost like a part of our society in today's world, is that like, I know something's happening, but I can't do anything about it. So like, I'm just going to go and play video games all day. Right. Like, whatever it is. Yeah. And that's why I kind of stopped you. Cause I think that is very fluid across a lot of different things in life.
Yeah.
Cause it's just like, I can't do anything about it. So why should I vote? Right.
Yeah. There's also what I've seen is it's an extension of what I call like Instagram or TikTok. And what happens on that is you see the guy driving in this is an extreme case, but you see the guy driving in the Lamborghini, and he sort of pulls up and goes, I work 2 hours a week and I get to drive this. And then he drives off, and you're like, you see that enough? That you go, okay, there's something wrong with me. They don't show the thing from where the guy wakes up in the morning and he's like working a hangover and he's like, I don't know what to do with my life and blah, blah, blah. You don't see that. You just see the shiny carrot at the end of the stick. And it's like,
that easy.
There's a disconnect, and you see it on multiple, there's a mentality on that where you don't want to see the dirt. Like, you don't want to see the hard work, the sweat. You don't want to see the guy that, mows a lawn and is actually socking money away and investing in stocks, but he's out there like 10 hours a day mowing the lawns and building up his income that way. It's just always this quick stuff. And
well, the other part that you raise with that is the fact, whether it's video or photo, as the viewer, you have no idea what's behind it.
Yeah.
Like, you see so many vacation trips, right? And everybody's posing in their bathing suits on the deck or whatever by the ocean. But you don't know that they've been suffering from diarrhea all day long, right?
Yeah,
the trip there was canceled. They've had their luggage lost. They can't actually get their food because they've lost their rib band. Like, all you see is oh man, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm not being there.
Well,
right?
The big thing that everyone shows now is they hold up their phone and then they show like some sort of graph where they made $1.6 million this month, and they just show it to you, and it's like you see in the bottom of the corner it says Photoshop, you know, and this is totally real, man. This is totally real. I make $1.6 million, and the thing that that comes up in my feed now that I just totally stay away from, which I think is totally funny. All of these guys, these get rich quick guys, they're always walking somewhere. I don't know, somewhere they've taken a seminar from the same person, and it's come up in the seminar where it's like, you gotta walk. It engages you with the viewer. And these guys are always in a weird location, like they're coming out of the gym, or they're stepping out of a car, or they're going in to get groceries, or they come out, and it's like there's no sense of environment. They just like, this is just, hey, I'm just normally walking and talking like this. So as soon as I see those videos, I'm just like, swipe.
Well, when I see them, I always think, how many times did they have to shoot that video to get that way?
Yeah.
Because he walked out of that gym 10 times.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we come from a world that we know a little different. Like you reminded me, like there's a park that's near us, beautiful park around like a big, it's like a lake. It's called a lake, but it's not like the Great Lake Ontario. You can walk around it.
Yeah.
But often
I'm going to go not Great Lake, Doug. That's
that's
I'm going to go pond. Is it maybe a swimming pool that you're walking around?
Pond.
Your neighbors?
Yeah, it's a pretty big pond. But when you walk around, you'll see people with their phones taking selfies of themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, when I grew up, to look at yourself in a mirror was thought to be quite vain, and you would never admit to anyone that you did it, right?
Spent time, yeah.
And it's like, now it's like, well, if you're not doing it, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I got to get my position in the park right next to the branch, which has got the bird. And it's like, wow.
And the angle, everyone knows their angle.
It's so different in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think when you said that to me, that was like, even recognizing that, you must feel that. I keep going back to what Louis C.K. said. Like, you got to be doing comedy for 25 years before you can even say you're a comedian.
Yeah.
Like, you've been doing it for years, and you're recognizing these kind of amazing things, right, in people.
Yeah, but it also lends itself to pain. And I find, people don't want to get themselves in a situation of pain or discomfort. But the thing is, it's one of the greatest teachers there is available to you, because just to recap, but it's I'm sitting there basically in pain, stressed out.
Absolutely.
What am I going to do that's so different than these other funny guys going up, funny girls going up too? So I have to do something else. So from that stress and struggle, then I came to this sort of realization. I was able to utilize it twice.
Yes.
Sort of back to back. And I think that's a great thing, to allow yourself to get into these situations where you have to struggle and you have to think about it. It's, you learn a lot about yourself in relationships to others. And if you sort of take a back seat to that, then it's like, you don't learn about yourself as much as you really possibly can get out of your life.
Tell me, do you...
Doug, I'm going to tell you.
On the comfort level, like, it's almost as if, like, what you're saying is, when I'm comfortable, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if I'm getting content and comfortable here, I need to be doing something else.
Yeah, the great thing with stand-up is it's very humbling also. So
I'll bet.
You almost can't really ever get comfortable with it. That's when it sort of comes up and bites you. So you've got to be like humble to what is going on with. You just get overconfident on it. It's like, oh yeah, well, I don't have to focus on what I usually do. Yeah. I
can do that all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me think here. You seem more excited about this now than almost ever.
Yeah. I totally love doing it.
Now, is that because you found something that's, I don't mean just happen on the weekend, but have you found something that's more fulfilling, shall I say, than
Well, you know what it is. I can put it in your terms. It's basically it's writing, and then all of a sudden people start buying your book and going, "Hey, I really like your book." It's as simple as that.
okay.
And then it's people are recognizing that you have a voice and a point of view. Because generally when you're going through life, people are kind of in their own little world. And with stand up, it just allows you, there's no guidelines to it. Like
Right.
there's nothing.
No rules.
Yeah, there's no rules. There's no way. It's not like you're going to law school and after 4 years you write the bar and blah blah blah, or you're a plumbing assistant and you work through
Right.
this and then you write. It's nothing like that. It's just it's so the Wild West on everything. But that allows you to try different things, to try different expressions of who you are.
Right.
And when it connects with an audience, there's nothing greater because you're being seen fully for who you are. But the antithesis of that is that when it doesn't work, it's the worst feeling in the world. You have a group of people in a room focused on you going, I don't get you. I don't like you.
Yes.
That's just hard.
And it's immediate.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's like it doesn't linger. It doesn't come out a year later. You don't get a review on it 6 weeks later. It's like it's instant. But you can also learn to make adjustments of it. And then because it's like it's really the thing that I say about it is just stay curious about it. And it's a learning curve. Like it's just you're constantly learning. And there's different levels that you're learning at. You know, the bigger the audience is, the different the dynamics, and then you have businesses and people are making lots of money, so there's different things pulling at you that way. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I will often say, and I do get kind of caught in this, but it's like you learn a lot from your failures. Like you mentioned on pain.
Yeah.
And I often wonder, do we learn anything from our successes? I recently heard Ed Sheeran, the musician from England, I think, and he was saying,
not Ed Sheeran the baker, just to let everybody know.
That's right. Yeah, that's down the street from where you live.
Yeah,
but and he was saying he does, and I actually think I heard Clooney say this too. He says you learn nothing from your successes.
Yeah,
and yet when you're in our world, it's like that's you got to be like that. The success is what it's all about, right? Whatever success is even is.
Yeah,
but it's like you've got it. Like you have, like you don't have to sit there. Do they like me? Like you like have instant like feedback, right?
Yeah.
It's very rarely that the dial's in the middle saying, "I kind of like you, kind of don't like you."
Yeah.
And it's like, where else do you get that to that level? And who else like does that? Like it's kind of like it's got to be something in you that says like I can't imagine not doing this.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about it too, I find, is like it's like they can like you one moment and something can change and not like you. Then you got to bring them back. So it's this constant movement that's always going on. It's not just like a blanket, unless you get to the level of you're doing Netflix specials and people are coming to see you. But I'm talking in the sense of where I'm at, where people don't, I have people that know me on the small level coming, but generally people don't know who I am.
Right.
So you have to work that much harder to win the people over. And the thing that I kind of get mad at is you'll see, I'll see some comics at like, they're doing clubs and stuff, and they don't really have to work very hard because they've got the built-in laughter. People in the clubs, they're having drinks, they're with their friends, they're having fun, they're eating pizza, blah, blah, blah. And, or they're a well-known comic and you're like, I don't know if they're working that hard at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the bitter side of me coming out, Doug. The darkness, the bitterness.
So are you like, because I recently also heard Seinfeld say this on, I think it might have been Stern, and he says, like, I think comedy 24/7 have forever.
Yeah.
He says, never like, he says, anything can be a joke. You can joke about anything, but it better be funny. And he said, I'm on 24/7. And Stern said, like, that sounds like it's just exhausting to do. And he says, like, there's not a better gift in the world. because you like to do it. And I like, do you feel that's where you're at now?
Yeah.
Like right
Yeah,
this
it
second, are you
is. I
trying to
mean,
think of something funny about what I'm talking about?
yeah, yeah, I'm constantly kind of thinking of stuff, but it's not terms of it. It's not like I have to do it. It's just I do it.
Right.
It's
Yes.
not like I have to. It's just like you'll be sitting there and you think, oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like sort of like that. The other thing, just while you're on topic of Jerry Seinfeld, he had a really interesting quote that sort of lent itself to what I was saying earlier. Is he has this thing of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that gets back to what you were saying. Your
You're not doing it right.
son-in-law, yeah,
If you're comfortable up there, to me, when you told it, when you explained that what happened on the weekend, to
Mhm.
me, it was like a recognition of, if I feel comfortable here, then I'm not doing something right here. Like this is not where, and
Yeah,
it's exactly what he said. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
right. But there is also like being comfortable and then to the point where you can express yourself. Because if you don't feel comfortable, you feel pulled back and restrained, you're not going to show people who you really
Right.
are.
Right.
Like my thing is it's like I think of it like this, like when I used to go to the YMCA in Hollywood and I'd be on the weight machines lifting weights and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then I'd see all these people coming out of yoga class and they were in great shape. They were amazing. I thought, okay, I want to start taking yoga classes. So I started taking yoga classes and I went every day for 100 days.
Oh man.
And from us growing up, we played a lot of like group sports. We were on the same hockey team
Yep.
together and that kind of thing. So it's like a group activity. And when I went into the yoga classes, I was competing against these other people. Like I would see these guys bend and twist and stuff, and I would just force myself. But what I realized is I can't compete with them. I can't compete with like a 20-year-old girl that's super flexible. But I didn't have that initially. It was just this fight with myself to like, okay, I'm going to bend and twist like her because I was so competitive.
Yes.
But what I realized, it becomes a journey with yourself.
Yes.
If you look at it from the point of you're fighting against yourself and then learning how to remove the blocks so you're not fighting against yourself. So in life generally and in stand-up, I think of it in terms of getting out of the way of yourself
Yes.
to allow yourself. Yeah.
That to me, that's again, talking kind of philosophical look at it. And people say, what are you talking about? But often you just see people.
We'll put subtitles on for everyone.
Just like you got to get out of your own way sometimes. Like it's just
every time.
And it's one of those things that you may not even be aware of, but it's like, that's to me, in a way, success breeds that.
Yeah.
It breeds a contentment that you get kind of used to.
Yeah.
And some are probably like, can do better at it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they don't. Like you expressing the weekend event to me is such a neat thing that you get to do it almost all the time because of what you're doing in stand up.
Yeah.
But you think of in life, and if people go back to things that like I risked to do that, and then they stop risking, and then it's like, I guess it's interesting, but like just what you come out of with, and then the pump you get from if it goes well.
Yeah, it's nothing better. It's like it's so good.
I mean, to me, those are things that are like super powerful as far as that goes. So, comedy can keep going on with that, but I'm also interested in your film work because the last time we had talked, you had just released a short film.
Yeah,
that was I think was trying to be, you were putting it in, or the person who produced it was entering in a few of the festivals.
Yeah.
You got other stuff going on in that world?
Yeah, actually right now I had this idea for a short film, and I've had it for a little while, and then I kept seeing this guy come up on his name is Brent Forster, coming up on my TikTok feed. because I'm on the talk. Are we not all? Woo woo. Oops, here we go. Back at it. And so what he is he teach a sitcom comedy writing class.
Oh.
And I thought, oh, that'd be really interesting because he's got 25 years in it. He's totally legit. He was a writer on The Simpsons. He was a writer on The Office and a director on there. He's been a writer on King of the Hill and a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'm just kind of
Brian Forrester.
No. Why am I dropping the first part of what I just said? We'll just I'll get it in 2 seconds. Be back. Anyway, he has this class going. So I thought, I'll join up on this class. So I've been doing that for like the last 4 or 5 weeks. And it's very systematic. And it's like sort of distilling everything that he's learned over these years and all these writer rooms that he's been in. Brent is his name.
Oh, Brent. Okay.
Yeah.
Brent Forrester?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so he's distilled everything down to his systems. This is what I've seen in writers' rooms, blah, blah, blah. So it's almost like you're getting rid of, having to read something or whatever. And he puts a Facebook group together. And it's been really fun. And I have this short film. I'm going to call it what am I calling it? It's A Ventriloquist's Guide to Stop Asian Hate. And it's kind of a little bit of a wild ride, but basically the idea is so my wife is Asian, her daughters are Asian, stuff like that. So over the last little while, there's been a lot of talk about Asian hate coming up with seniors and stuff like that. So it's in our wheelhouse here.
Right.
And I thought, okay, well, what can I do about it? So I also do ventriloquism,
right? Yeah.
And I thought it would be this really funny idea of you have a ventriloquist and the dummy. The dummy's a racist, but the ventriloquist is not. And how does that play out? And then I thought of incorporating that into a short film. So that's what I'm working on right now.
That's
so
cool.
I've been writing that, and I have like camera people and stuff like that I've put together. Yeah.
So on the bigger picture,
ooh, the big picture. Yeah, here we go.
So last summer, we were just commenting because we're big movie folks. You know that.
Yeah.
We love the movies. And we recently saw Horizon, Kevin Costner's big Western.
Oh,
epic.
yeah.
Didn't do well.
Yeah. I love me the Yellowstone, though.
Oh, he was amazing. Also.
Yeah.
The Horizon's an amazing movie. Like we loved it.
Yeah.
And I thought he was doing something new because he was releasing it kind of in chapters. So the next chapter was going to come out at the end of August. We were anticipating it. And then I read it's going to, I don't know, is it Cannes that's in September? Some film festival, but not going out for broad release. Because Horizon apparently didn't do that well. Which
right up there with Waterworld.
Well, again, Waterworld. I love Waterworld.
Yeah.
Like with Dennis Hopper coming across with the steam ship. Like I don't know. It was super
I liked it, but I know it didn't do well.
No, but it was a neat movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool. So I started thinking, I said, like, what are the big movies for this year? Like Oppenheimer and Barbie were like big movies last year.
Yep.
And both of them I thought were great movies.
Yeah,
for
sure.
different reasons, which we can talk about. But this year, what's going on, Scott? Like, we hear Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm kind of going like, okay, that's it? Like,
yeah.
So, is there a buzz in Hollywood about, or a de-buzzing of Hollywood? Or like what do you think's going on here? Because it's like kind of disappointing when that part of it is like, even when we went to see a Horizon, nobody was in the theater.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're one of the rated theaters that we go to. It's just Cineplex here in Canada, Abbotsford. But I miss the movies. Like,
yeah, I think what happened is people are the craziest peoples. They are based on habits. So what I mean by that is during COVID, the going to movies, going out in public got disrupted, and it was replaced with staying at home and streaming.
Yeah.
And the difference, like, it's like you grew up, you have kids and stuff like that. And for a family to go out and see a movie, it's like going to a Broadway show. By the time you pay for parking you've got the ticket prices, and then everyone's got to have like, 40 pounds of popcorn and a pop and stuff like that. But it gets really expensive. Or you can just go to a TV store and get a really nice big TV for your living room.
Yeah.
And the movie starts at whenever you want it to start.
Yeah.
You don't have people blocking you or talking during the movie. And if they are, you can just send them to bed. Jennifer, that's enough talking. Go to bed. Go to your room.
I mean, I guess that's a big portion of it. Like I kind of like get that. You don't get out though. That's part of the problem, right? Like that's kind of why we like going. We like just getting out. Like you're getting out.
Right. But
And
I just think it's a lot to do with habit. Like I'm kind of making fun of it, but basically the habit was that we would go to see movies Friday and Saturday nights. A lot of big date nights happen. Then habit. Now that habit got changed over a period of 2 years, and everyone's expecting to go back to change the habit, but they have no motivation to change the habit back to how it was before because they got used with a new habit, and people don't like to change their habits. So
unless there's something that's really attracting the crowd to see that, then like nobody's going, I guess. It's like we're disappointed because we like the movies and like an avenue, like you're saying about the cost of it. But what we were shocked by was the sticker price on going to like a live show. You think movies are expensive. Go and take a family. Well, you by and large you can't. It's just like the tickets are just outrageous, right?
No, I know. My brother and his son, they went to Slipknot. It was crazy price, and then Metallica. And
I'm even talking about like the live, like Broadway show type.
Oh yeah.
Live theater. I'm not going to say particularly Broadway in New York, but like any of like the theater like you see in Toronto or Vancouver or Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And they're like that's my feedback when people talk about how expensive a movie is. Then I hear that getting theater popcorn now is a thing. Don't go to the movie, just go in and get the popcorn.
What?
Yep.
Crazy, Doug. Crazy.
We went to see a movie that I think it was called The Forge on last weekend. And we were standing there in the lobby. It wasn't busy. And people drove up, ran in, got their popcorn, and left.
I don't think movie popcorn. We have popcorn at home, or like organic popcorn that I make, and I can make it exactly how I want it. It's movie popcorn. It's not that great. I don't know what you would be doing there.
I don't know whether Cineplex here in Canada has some kind of like
it's sprinkled with drugs.
But I was really like and the couple we were with, they were saying that like people do skip the dishes and get theater popcorn. I'd never heard this before, but I said
people should be run out of town.
Nothing is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
We ended up going to the Forge because of they had Horizon wasn't out, so that's what and the other one we kind of wanted to see was the new one with Dennis Quaid, Reagan.
Oh, okay.
Like the biopic for that, but again, we didn't get there for that either. So
yeah.
So you don't have any secrets outside of that from the Los Angeles world of what's going on in the movie world?
I mean, there is a big thing that's happening down here is there's a lot of people that are moving out of town just because the lack of work.
Of LA.
And then also too, there's been a push. I'm not sure exactly the dynamics of it, but there are, I think it's the production costs in LA are getting so expensive, and there's permitting crazy. I was reading this thing the other day where someone was shooting a short film and they came from out of state, or they had to drive here or whatever, and their permitting cost was like $12,000 for a short film, and they're like, that kind of burned through a lot of our budget.
Wow.
And it's a weird thing. So you could imagine on the large scale how expensive it is. I just saw a thing where I think Warner Brothers has opted to put up like $2.3 billion to build a studio in Las Vegas. I can see Las Vegas kind of becoming a new hotspot for it. Mark Wahlberg moved out there. He sold his house here, and and he only sold it for like $50 million. The poor guy. I think he was asking $80 million. but he could only get 50 million for it. That's how bad things are here, guys. 50. Really? In this day and age? I feel bad for him. Anyway, he'll probably do okay.
I can hear it in your voice.
He's in Las Vegas. So I think there's a lot of people going to Atlanta. A lot still get shot in Vancouver.
Yes.
And I was saying to Carol, I mean, when I was in Toronto, they actually had a film liaison office that was specifically for bringing people into Toronto, because there's such a like a third party effect that happens with movies where people are staying, they have to buy food, all these different things ripple out into the community. So it's like, yeah, welcome all these people here. But it seems like in LA, it's becoming more and more difficult to do productions here. So people are going elsewhere for it and looking. So that's kind of what I've noticed just hopping around. Yeah.
Well, intriguing to say the least.
And we live just down the street from Sony Studios.
Yeah, I know. Like you're like very, very close to that.
Yeah, that's where they did Somewhere Over the Rainbow, The Wizard of Oz.
So, speaking of The Wizard of Oz, you've probably already heard this, but I heard this on, I don't know where, it was some message. But
made up maybe, Doug?
Could be, but I'm anxious to try this. So apparently, if you put on Wizard of Oz.
Play it backwards.
And you start Pink Floyd's.
Oh, yeah, I heard some about that.
After the lion roars the second time.
Yeah.
Put on Dark Side of the Moon. It perfectly syncs with the movie. You turn the sound down on Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
And the music perfectly syncs with the movie Wizard of Oz. And apparently Roger Waters has been talked to about this numerous times, and he says it's just a freak of art.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was almost going to do it yesterday, but I didn't get there. I'm on
somebody's got a little bit of time on their hands.
Somebody
Doug, you should be typing. I'm going to go figure this out.
Well, I've been interested. I recently heard Quentin Tarantino talk about, this is what got me off it. I didn't get this done either, but Quentin Tarantino was asked what was the best movie trilogy in his idea, right? And I'm kind of going, okay, like we threw it out in our own family discussion around Star Wars and Jurassic Park and a bunch of them, right? The Matrix was really big thumbs down. The trilogy of Matrix, the Matrix number one, way up, best movie, but the trilogy, we had one of four that
thanks for the visuals. I like the visuals that you got there.
You gotta like that.
Couldn't have figured that out. Okay,
Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
So, but Tarantino said his was Fistful of Dollars, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and the in the middle one, which I'm not remembering now, but
Cinderella, I think he called it.
No, it wasn't Cinderella.
No, it wasn't Cinderella. Okay.
But
that's my bad.
I didn't really recognize those as a trilogy before. And so now I'm intrigued to go and check it out because I love Westerns. That's why The Horizon was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever see Godless on Netflix?
I don't think so.
So it had Jeff Daniels, who I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And Sam Waters. And it was with today's technology, it was a Western done as a time period. So they could do all kinds of what would happen in I think it was probably set somewhere in the mid 19th century. And so the gunfights were spectacular. It wasn't like going back and watching Gunsmoke, for instance, right?
Oh, I see.
And it was, I think, a 10-part episode, but Godless is what it was called. And I loved it because it was like a Western. And and that's what Horizon kind of was too. Because, I mean, Yellowstone, you mentioned Yellowstone.
Yeah,
great movie, but it's not it's a modern day Western kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Which has all the different interested political parties who are dealing with land and wealth and all that. It's really well done. Super dark. Super dark to me.
What, Yellowstone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the characters were amazing in it. So where are you going to be doing your act?
Mostly in the
next little
shower
while.
right now. Do a little bit in the shower. Also when I'm brushing my teeth and going to get the mail. If anyone sees me going to get the mail, I'll be doing like 5 minutes of material there. No, it's just got shows booked around. Just finished editing up some clips. I'm going to start hitting up bookers to get shows around. The interesting thing that I found about the whole stand-up scene here is I thought it was based on like meritocracy,
Yes.
where it would be kind of the cream rises to the top. And it does to a certain level. But the main thing that's most important, networking.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in the business. Hi, my name's Phil. What's yours? You sell blah, blah, blah. It's not like that. It's more like just making connections with people, being on shows. They like you on the shows because ultimately people want things that are simple. So if you get a group of comedians that are working well together, they're going to book you on other shows. So that's kind of, that was a big eye opener to me.
So have you got shows coming up?
I do have some more shows at Comedy Boulevard, and we're just rolling into September. So I'll start booking up shows. And then also too, I work on new material. I go, I make it like a job. So Monday to Friday, I do mics and around town. So I'll try material out and work on material that I have and just polish stuff up. And then I'll get booked shows, and they'll be like usually, they can be during the week, but usually it's like on a Friday, a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, something like that.
So this will likely come out next Tuesday.
Oh, perfect. I'll be at the Hollywood Bowl. So you guys should run and get your tickets.
What day is that at?
Oh, that's a day. That's like would be a Tuesday. Don't worry about the date. Just no.
So
yeah,
you bring up another interesting thing. So I just heard that Son and his partner are going to see Tom Segura.
Yes,
at the Air Canada Centre.
Yeah, he's a big time guy.
So that must be a different connection with the crowd.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, is he doing well with his Netflix specials? I guess it's like,
yeah.
'cause I was kind of surprised that he could fill Toronto's Air Canada Centre.
Yeah, no, he's doing pretty good. The interesting thing that's happened with the Netflix specials is they're worldwide, and also with the podcast world, his podcast does very well. So he's able to go on world tours and play larger places because people know him.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
So you don't have anything coming up in the next week, like you got as far as you can do a shout out promote for on here?
Not for the. I have a show. I think it's on Friday, but you said this is coming out next Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have anything booked for, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to. It just I haven't at this point.
Cool. Well, if you do, we'll put it on to
okay, yeah,
on
perfect,
the description of the podcast. So
yeah.
Well, I'm thinking we should give you some of your day back to you.
Woo,
it's kind of neat to talk to you in the same time zone. I will say that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because we're kind of we're really liking the what do you want to call it? The weather out here, and it's kind of for often and who I'm talking to, we're in the same time zone, so it's kind of neat to not be trying to match up European time or early maritime time or whatever that kind of goes.
So what time is it there? Yeah.
So episode 51, you're going to be on. This is the first video. I didn't introduce this today, but this is the first video that we've done of Better Than Not. So you get to be the inaugural one.
Doug, I would have worn makeup. You should have told me.
It's the spontaneity, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, that's fantastic.
I wish you well in what's that?
I was just going to say a big congratulations on having this as the 51st.
Thank you.
Just meaning that you're killing it.
Well, it's for something that was never on the horizon for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat thing, but it's met a lot of different people, and I hope that kind of continues on and people keep listening.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, everybody, listen.
Yes. And with that, I was going to say, check out, if you're in Los Angeles, you went to Austin, Texas recently, right?
Yeah, I did. I did
How
for the
was
South
that?
by Southwest. It was really interesting. It's a great. I love Austin. I didn't realize how much I like it. I've heard good things about it. But,
They just opened a new university in Austin.
Whoa! Didn't even know that.
I just read about it yesterday, like because they're kind of sick and tired of what's going in the college university world, right?
Okay.
And I'm gonna mess up where I heard about it from, but I thought, wow, this Austin there's a lot of stuff going on in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, yeah. And for my money, I wouldn't spend money at a university anymore. I would just save up for a smart robot that can answer many a question and do your job for you.
And you don't have to drive because you'll have the robot do your driving for you.
Yeah.
Well, with
Or
those can be our final words. I have a feeling that if you're out to see Scott doing his stand-up routine, you're going to hear about the world of robots in a recent time. Well, with that, Scott, I was going to say, hold on for a minute after we sign off, but thank you for joining Better Than Not. Thank you,
Doug.
Hope you'll continue to listen to some of the other episodes as we kind of move forward. And thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.